Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Tilt Space, the show that we do every Sunday. Myself, Peter Overzet, Joe Holka, Michael Leone. We enter lineups in mid to high stakes contests. We theoretically come on this stream and we celebrate. But most of the time, we just come on here relatively tilted that we didn't get the combinations right, that we made some mistakes, and we commiserate for the hour. So that's what we're going to do. The latter tonight. Mike and Joe, how are you guys doing?
Well, Mike, I kind of got mine out of the way before the show, so I'll regroup a little bit here and let you start.
I'm tilted, man. It's one of those weeks where the chalk just hit in a big way at the second half of the first of the early games. Mike Evans gets there on a long catch, and he still kind of fouled, but it was almost a mega foul for Mike Evans. All of the running backs that were cheap get there. So at halftime, it kind of looked like you might have an edge with like Zeke and JT were at like 20, and Ingram and Dearness Johnson were at like 5, right? So that looked like a huge edge. You fast forward to the final scores, and not only is it not an edge, it's actually a detriment to have played Zeke or Jonathan Taylor over those guys because they did so well at their salaries. So that was tough. Even like Dan Arnold went from a goose egg to being, one of the most valuable tight ends on the entire slate. He was the chalkiest one. So that hurts. I made some bad decisions on swaps, which was just my own fault, and then the results running bad. And I'm also tilting. Like the one thing I feel like I really got right was that these Jalen Hurts single stacks were not going to be played as much as they should have. But I only played 3 teams. I only played one of them, and I played it with Goddard instead of Devonta. Or if I would have played 2 of them, I definitely would have had a Devonta. And that's max pain right now with Devonta having the 2 touchdowns and Goddard being out with a concussion.
Yeah, and even like a couple of the stacks that are getting there, it wasn't the double stacks that got there. Like I had a Josh Allen double. Obviously, the Diggs side gets there, but they have so many random ass rushing touchdowns. I mean, Allen could have had a 45 or 50 point game pretty easily. And then same with Dak. So many Zeke scores. The defense gets a score as well. And then, the Gallup, the Schultz, the Amari, that didn't get there. So, the play, was doing a skinny with those guys, Dak to Lamb or Allen to Diggs, because that double stack was not hitting today.
Yeah, and I really thought about doing the Diggs like alpha stack, but Dawson Knox was really popping in my stuff at tight end. And, it's painful to pay more money for Dawson Knox, have the team score 45, and lose 8 points to Dan Arnold or whatever it is. So I went for, it's 1 week Dan Arnold's your hero. The next week, he's your enemy.
And he almost got in the end zone too, didn't he? Like at the end, so he almost scored, and it would have been even worse.
Yeah,
I will say it's been a hot topic of conversation all year for GPP bros, whether to do the bringbacks and stuff. Jacksonville has proven to be a pretty good bringback team. It's like Agnew seems to get there. You'll get the random Marvin Jones. You'll have the Carlos Hyde catching 12 balls. It's like they've been pretty bringback friendly.
Yep. One thing that I wanted to kind of chat with you guys about too, because I know sometimes when we're building out our stacks, I know we're hesitant to sometimes play the running back with them. And just some of the stuff that I've been running for smaller field stuff, I've been kind of looking at, like, I totally understand why, like, Zeke in theory doesn't make sense with like a Dak stack and stuff like that. But in this situation where they have like one of the highest team totals on the entire slate, we did have a lot of these alpha running backs. Like, yeah, you're hoping for maybe Zeke to fail and all the touchdowns to come through the air. But like, how often are you going to get that perfect, right? Where like every single touchdown in the game goes to the pass catchers from Dak. So I guess I'm like trying to think through things of like, and that wouldn't matter tons anyway. Like my favorite Dak stack that I had was Dak, Zeke, Lamb, and Pitts. So like it wouldn't even really matter because they were very expensive. Like all those guys, I didn't end up going with that. But after I ran my stuff, that was the Dak stack that I was considering. Didn't end up going with that. I had Brady on my main team, which wasn't great. But I did like Zeke just because of the total and because I thought a little bit more ownership was going to go towards the pass catchers. So I guess the other one, maybe to a lesser regard that I was considering, was a Brady, Evans, and Leonard Fournette. But again, Same kind of thing. In theory, does that take away too much from the stack, you guys think? We've talked through it. We never pulled the trigger.
I don't know if it's so much that it takes away from the stack as like this week Like I think there are weeks where you can double that with the running back being part of the double. I know we had talked through a Dallas stack with Gallup, Lamb, and Zeke, and I thought that was too much where we're already doubling Dak. Maybe if we were singling him. But also this week in particular, we're seeing the running back opportunity cost, right? Where Zeke needed to have the massive game, like not even taken away from the stack, but thinking about the running back ceiling like themselves.
Sure.
With all the cheap values at running back and some other high end guys in good spots, like Zeke's not even going to get there, scoring his 2 touchdowns. So I almost rather, roll the dice and hope Dak throws for 3 or 4 instead of just 2. Yeah.
And the other thing too, maybe a little different. I think I've been more tempted to do that if it is like an Austin Eckler, type, or even Fournette. Some of these times where the Bucs aren't taking their foot off the gas, and you could run a Brady, Fournette, and one of the pass catchers. Zeke hasn't been catching quite as many passes. I know for FanDuel that isn't as big of a deal, but that's normally how I think through it. And I think I probably could have been talked into it if it was just 3 total Cowboys and 1 was Zeke, like Zeke, Lamb, and Dak, and then just being like, look, their implied team total says they can surely have Lamb and Zeke each score 2, but then you throw in Gallup, and it's like, well, we're gonna need Gallup to score a touchdown to get there on FanDuel, and then that's a touchdown Zeke can't have.
I'm kind of thinking through it, I guess, like more optimistically in some ways, because like if you just actually like back into like a receiving touchdown from one of these guys, like that's all you really need to go like really right for that stack to make a ton of sense, right? So I don't know, I get the Zeke stuff, and I think it matters too, like how high owned that running back is going to be also. Just like adding him to your stack doesn't make sense in every scenario, but like we see that like at least some of those high end guys with at least it differentiates your stack, right? So like how many people actually ran out the Dak stack with Zeke? I think that maybe the negative correlation you get or the leverage that you lose sometimes is worth it for just having a different type of construction. And obviously it depends on the field size. The thing we're playing on FanDuel is 500 people. It's significantly bigger than some of the other stuff I'm playing that I'm mostly onslaughting. So I get that for sure.
And you want to pull that lineup up, Mike?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. The other thing too, I'm like when you mentioned like people aren't going to play Dak with Zeke, this is something that I know there are sharp people that think of it differently, but like for me, I don't think of it like I don't think of combos, trying to get unique with combos. I'm more thinking like the actual leverage, like just on the ownership percentage, if that makes sense. Like I'm having a hard time articulating it.
Well, because the thing when you're saying it's going to be a unique combo, you're almost saying like your lineup's not going to be duplicated, which obviously that's an issue in Showdown and some other formats. But for this, you're not worried about getting duplicated. So having like a unique combo actually doesn't benefit you.
I guess that's fair. The way I was kind of thinking through it, though, is like when you look through some of these double and triple stacks, like there's plenty of tools out there that will let you look at the ownership. You see, like, yeah, Dak to CD, like 7% of people have that exact combo. Zach, CD, Gallup, probably like what, 4% of people have that combo. Or if you just get different with like one guy you're adding to the stack, you're probably the only guy in the entire tournament in the small field that has that combination. But I get what you mean. Maybe not as important for something like this. It's not a great example, but maybe something that was like super chalky. Like if we had a week where Tom Brady was extremely popular with Evans, with Godwin, you add Fournette to that, by default, you have like a unique combination of Brady is kind of how I'm thinking through. It might not be right.
I guess for me though, I'm like at the point where if I'm playing, like I'd rather just play the running back and fade. Like if the passing game is so chalky, instead of rather going so far with the correlation that it gets unique, I'd rather just leverage it with just playing the running back, if that makes sense. But I do think we like I do think a double is fine. I didn't want to do a double and Zeke. If it was just Lamb and Zeke, as you said, Joe, it's Zeke almost scored on a screen pass.
Well, it's easy to make this argument right now with Zeke and Lamb both getting there. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like sometimes.
Oh, for sure. No, you mentioned that before when we were building. Yeah.
And I would say, looking at this lineup, Dak fairly popular, but CD didn't come along for the ride quite as much ownership wise. Was Amari super popular on FanDuel?
I don't think so. Not that I saw in some of my contests, that's for sure. I honestly, like Dak came in lower across the board than I expected. Like all of those guys, right? Like Gallup was super low. Like outside of Zeke, like it was like, I don't know. I thought for sure that like everyone was going to jump on Dak after last week and the dud and just obviously the big total and that stuff, and it just didn't happen.
Did
This,
CMC just step out again on a potential touchdown?
Oh yeah, he's out for
who
sure.
did?
CMC just
Again?
stepped out on another sideline touchdown run.
CMC legitimately could have 50 points right now. Someone said Chubb of Hulch. Oh my god. But Joe, too, you mentioned Diggs, and I thought he was going to get played more on FanDuel than this. So that kind of hurts to see Diggs, who I really liked at 16. I mean, this Mike Evans play was just egregious in GPP.
Yeah, agreed.
I didn't think he'd be this much.
Didn't see that. I
you
mean,
know what
he
else
was
is egregious?
Holy cow.
Hubbard touchdowns for the Panthers. That's also very egregious.
Wait, Peter, what do we need to do to him?
To who?
Eric, see the comment?
He's wrong.
Oh my goodness. Put him at 5-minute timeout. 5-minute timeout.
Oh man, that's so
5-minute
brutal.
timeout.
Like what a late swap to CMC
So
if you landed on that and you're just getting absolutely buried.
This is like what's tilting me too. Like I could salvage my day with like a min cash in the 4K here, and it's like CMC somehow doesn't have a touchdown. Goddard got hurt. I didn't play Devonta with Hurts, and I've got a combined 8.2 points for my receivers. It's like,
was that a swap to CMC or is he there the whole time?
No, he was there the whole time. This was a non-swap team.
What contest was this, Mike?
The fourth down conversion. So I'm just like, this is my tilt, is that it wasn't a good setup week for me with the chalk running backs hitting and some of the stuff, but like this was my salvage team, and it's just like a couple things wrong that I'm super tilting.
Is this what, Terrace Marshall 2-point conversion?
Come on.
The boys of July are finally hitting Chuba and Terrace Marshall here.
Is this a joke? Oh my god.
Oh, Leone, did you have a statement about Robbie Anderson's TD you would like to tell the crowd?
No, I don't have the heart. I don't have it in me to even manufacture.
You can't even victory lap it because you were rooting for Christian McCaffrey touchdowns.
Yeah, or DJ Moore.
Oh yeah.
like I was just the Cam goal line package with CMC down at the 2. Should CMC have scored on this? You said he just stepped out.
I saw a replay like in passing.
I think he stepped out at like the 5. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It looked pretty hard. Pull up our DraftKings lineups.
Okay, here's our team in the 1500. As it's not on the screen, that's how things are going. So first of all, we should mention the Mike Williams was the Marquise Brown of this week.
100%.
Dude.
Where did not see it coming.
So, yeah. I mean, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I feel like Marquise Brown last week in retrospect was kind of like, okay, everyone is going to play Lamar. But, Dak didn't carry CeeDee Lamb.
No.
Like Allen didn't carry Diggs. But Herbert carries Mike Williams.
How?
When there's Keenan Allen so that, I mean, that was wild. But tilt aside, AJ Brown was the play I didn't want to play, that I just felt the math was just too good on, and we just had to play. So I feel like I'm just gonna make those plays, and if I get beat on them, I get beat on them.
Good way to differentiate your Ingram mini too. I like that a lot. That was one of the things that I'm like mentally tilting. Like everyone probably has these stories every single week, but I think I said like 6 times today on my stream, like how can we get different with Dearness Johnson? It's maybe we had Hunter Henry to stack, maybe we had Jacoby Myers to stack, like something, right? Like just have like and neither of those. I mean, I didn't pull the trigger on any of that, but I literally remember that coming out of my mouth. So like those ones are tilting because like as you're going through it, Pete, you probably feel this way too. You're going through it and you're thinking through all these things, and sometimes you're like, you should just trust your instincts on some of that stuff, right? Like, I don't know. I just didn't have the stones to do something like that.
Yeah, I think there might be a few factors here. Racif in the chat said the Q tag on Keenan does it. That's interesting to me. I mean, the whole thing with it, right, is if you're looking at any projection sets earlier, I was looking at Mike's throughout the week. I mean,
Eckler,
Keenan was
9%.
projecting really well, and Mike Williams did not project well as a points per dollar play. Like, he was too pricey for what his role had been of late. And it's kind of shocking to me that he came in this much higher than Keenan, even with the Q tag, because it wasn't like Keenan wasn't like Godwin, where Godwin was legitimately questionable this week. I mean,
Yeah.
Keenan was never in doubt of playing.
I'm trying to find out what Keenan's.
Didn't know no one
Can't
played
find
him,
him.
so you
No
can't
one
find
fucking
him.
played him, so I can't find it.
I even left Mike Williams on some teams like that I was late swapping, right? I moved to like a Mike Williams, Adam Thielen mini stack on a team that I think had like James Conner or something on it. And
12% on Keenan.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, we would have played Keenan.
I mean, I think we have to also, again, I think we need to talk about, I mean, you see Jason in the chat say every damn tout I heard this week talked about Big Mike. I mean, Big Mike is a far sexier GPP play, and the big GPP bro industrial complex is never excited about Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
wasn't
the Reeves bump.
the GPP industrial complex on like Jonathan Taylor? Like, I was really worried JT was going to get steamed. He comes in at like, I played him in that on that 4K team. He came in at 12% in the fourth down conversion. You know, so I know it's just hard to know which way that's going to go.
Yeah.
Maybe it happens a little bit more with the stacks than it does. But, and like Diggs too, like Diggs stayed low. So
Yeah, I agree. It's like the Evans one, that makes sense to me because we saw the pendulum really swing with the uncertainty to Godwin. And I mean, if you have Godwin truly limited, I mean, Evans at his price in that matchup was a smash. And so him getting mega steam makes sense, but Mike Williams up to 25. Like, if you tell me Mike Williams is 17 or 18%, like I shrug and I'm like, okay, I wish I wouldn't have done that. 25, you're just scratching your head. Like, what happened?
25 to 12. Like, I wouldn't know. I thought, I mean, at most I thought, okay, because people are talking about Mike Williams so much, he gets to low teens, right? And I'm fine. Which is where Keenan ended up. Like either way, Keenan's getting played more than him on draft. Keenan should have been played more than him on DraftKings. I mean, it's a better. The recent target shares are way in his favor. The scoring system's in his favor on DraftKings.
Well, how many? I mean, I mentioned this in the chat, and I do think, like, on my show this morning, I talked about, you know, having maybe James Conner in your flex and then being able to leave enough money to pivot to an Adam Thielen or a Mike Williams. Your theory was you don't think people are actually pivoting that much to meaningfully change the ownership.
Well, like we were talking about the SPY. I don't know. I don't think people swap as much as we think they do, but I think a lot of people look at Keenan's ownership. Like, I think a lot of people, unless a lot of people swap from Keenan, I guess maybe it was combination. People swap from Keenan to Mike and people swap from Connor to Mike, but I think a lot of people started with Mike Williams.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Tyler Lockett finally got on the board, boys, so things are looking up.
What did he do?
I don't know, like a 3-yard catch, something like that.
A 7-yard catch, Joe.
I mean, when you say on the board, I was hoping for a TD, not just like this.
Well, I mean, on the board would mean
light.
that he's no longer has a 0.
Okay. So let's talk through what happened with the 3 cheap running backs. Dearness comes in extremely popular. Mark Ingram popular, but not quite as much. Like, I did think they might be a little bit closer. And then Ramondre flies way under the GPP radar. How are we feeling about how that shook out? I know most of us were building our lineups with one of those 3 guys in them at the very least.
Yeah, I don't really have like a strong take on why I didn't even really consider playing both of them outside of it just felt like the easiest way to build and the way that any projection system would send you towards. Like, I'm like, how did you like decide that, like, yeah, playing 2 of these guys was like definitely bad? Like, even just take the results out of it. Like, I mean, everything was probably leading people towards that exact build.
I mean, like playing a 35% owned player is a lot of chalk to eat. Playing a 35% owned combination, you know,
Sure.
that's leading people towards like the same construction. Like, I don't know. I just kind of felt like if they beat me as a group, they beat me as a group, and they beat me as a group.
And
you know, they did, but
And one thing that also made it harder, like going back to let's say the Kareem Hunt week, the Kareem Hunt chalk week where he flopped. I mean, I believe he was first overall in Leone's ceiling projections that week for running back. So you were eating chalk, but you were getting the massive ceiling. When you look at ETR ceiling projections for this week, had Dearness and Mark Ingram both at 23 points with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 running backs with higher ceilings than them. And so that's why it shaped up to be such a good GPP week in that, yeah, you probably eat some of the chalk there for lineup construction purposes, but then you give yourself access to larger ceilings that people jamming both cheap running backs wouldn't have access to.
Yeah. And as far as the Ramondre thing goes, I should have played him on one of my teams. I had a tough time. My take on that was kind of really easy to get overweight on an MME, but in small field, I just couldn't stomach this straight pivot where I was sacrificing like 5 projected points, which was wrong. You know, we talk about like input volatility. He should not have projected 5 points behind. It wasn't just that he ran good. Like if we were to reproject this game, he would project probably pretty close to those guys, right? Like maybe a little bit behind, but really close. So, I don't know. I probably should have gotten a Ramondre in, but I was really just on, if I'm fading either Ingram or Dearness, I just want to play Jonathan Taylor or some of these high price running backs. And to Peter's point with the Kareem Hunt thing, I know it seems obvious these guys hit once they hit and they were the top projected values, but like we've had games where Dalvin Cook scores 12 fantasy points, right? Like Dearness Johnson could score 12 fantasy. We've had Nick Chubb score 12 fantasy points. So it wasn't a foregone conclusion that these guys scored what they did.
Yeah. And I think maybe the takeaway for me too, and, relative to say wide receiver, which wasn't as strong collectively as a position this week on DraftKings, was, I mean, we spent the whole week trying to figure out which of these guys. You mentioned Jonathan Taylor. We were all pondering Christian McCaffrey, like Dalvin Cook. Is anyone going to play these guys? And even, guys we thought were going to be chalkier, like James Conner, he comes in at 16% in some of my contests there. And it was so spread out just by the myriad of options you had. Whereas at wide receiver, it's like Devontae Adams jam, Mike Evans jam, and those were the 2 highest ceiling plays in ETR's ceiling projections and looked good as points per dollar plays too. So I think continuing to feel out the dynamics of that, knowing like you could kind of play anyone you wanted at running back this week. And then it was just getting unique at wide receiver.
And along those lines, I was talking to Joe. One of the things that I'm tilted on a little bit, and this is more of a hindsight take, admittedly than a process one, but because of that dynamic where it was like, oh, you could play any of these running backs if you just got done with construction, I really spread things out. I did too. And I kind of hit on a few of the things I really, really liked. So that I'm kind of like tilting that, I'm tilting that I really like Diggs. Jonathan Taylor wasn't optimal because of what the cheap running backs did, but he was, one of the highest scoring running backs on the entire slate. Like you could survive one of the chalk cheap running backs with JT and with Diggs. And I was really like, this Hurts thing just seemed like such an opportunity to me. This guy is his cheapest price tag since week 2. And because they've run a ton in a couple of weird games recently, literally no one's going to play him. So like I ended up really spread out on my 3 teams. And when you're only making a few hand-built teams, you're going to be spread out. But that was painful for me.
Dalvin down at the 1. To your point, I think that I even took that a step further, Leone. So I was planning on, obviously, I was coming back from a wedding last night, got stuck in a blizzard. So I got like 3 hours of sleep, woke up, did the show, built my one team. I wanted to try and keep things really simple. So I ended up in these, and this is probably one of the worst weeks I could have done that because some of these guys did feel so close to me. I knew kind of the kind of build I wanted to go with. I landed on either a Brady, Herbert, or Dak stack. Ended up going with the Brady version of that. And then I kind of hedged out some different 1v1s and 2v2s and just threw them in the Sunday Million. So I had basically like different iterations, like with Godwin, with Diggs, and then I had like some Zeke teams in the place of basically like JT, that sort of stuff. And I just didn't have enough conviction, I don't think, on what I wanted to do. And I just got really spread out because I didn't really see a huge difference in some of these. And then I took some really bad ownerships on one-offs on some of these guys, and then completely missed on Mike Williams in late swaps. So Those are my main things. I don't know. Like sometimes it's nice to get those like lineups out of your head, just throw in the Sunday Million so it's out there. But it's also easier to tilt too when you don't like think through like the exact like situation that you're like that you really like, right? Like what you're saying, like you had some spots that you really liked, but you still kind of hedged out certain things. I want to like I want to get away from doing that. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. The more you spread out, the more you're taking away from your EV sometimes anyway.
Yeah, and it's hard because part of the reason I did end up spread was like, okay, if these chalk cheap running backs fail, I've got 3 different builds to attack it, and hopefully one of them hits, you know?
Yeah.
So like, even though I was spread, it was like around a central theme. Man, Dalvin Cook and Christian McCaffrey are just running so bad on touchdowns.
What happened to Dalvin here?
He got stopped at the 1, and then he got stuffed.
Yeah. So now they're kicking a field goal, I'm sure. Good God.
And then the other thing that I think was interesting this week is it felt like the quarterback pool is maybe as thin as it has ever been, which actually makes it kind of interesting to Mike's point that Hurts didn't end up more popular as the pivot because he did, project well at 6,500. But I mean, everyone was just playing the top 4. It was Allen, Brady, Prescott, and Herbert. And like everyone was like, we're not even going to mess around with anything cheap.
God, I hate the Vikings.
Conklin scores. But yeah, and Peter, that's where I'm like kicking myself a little bit just because like I kind of saw it when I did my Established Million show and didn't mention it, didn't even think about it. And I was like, holy shit, like this is the play. And I talked about it on Wake and Rake this morning. And I kind of just like wonder if I just don't know what I would have given up because like I really wanted to play the Allen huge ceiling. I guess I could have given up my Herbert sack and done two different Hurts ones. But again, I didn't know Michael Leone was going to be 25%, or I probably would have done that.
And I mean, you look at the games though, and we kind of mentioned it with the Diggs and Lamb stuff. I mean, the Allen and Dak thesis was clearly intact. I mean, there were scoring opportunities right and left those offenses. They just went to running backs and DSTs and stuff like that. So I don't even think we can beat ourselves up. I think attacking the ceiling spots there and not getting absurd ownership on some of the best pass catching options in Lamb and Diggs. I mean, that was the smart move.
Dude, and that, again, when I say the tilt of this week is kind of like in different ways, it's like I could have done this better, but also if the Bills didn't get 4 touchdowns from their running backs and a 5th rushing touchdown from Isaiah McKenzie, maybe I'm pretty happy right now. So, and I made it. I also am still tilting an egregious swap in the Thunderdome where I was going to go to Kirk and Devonta Smith, and I went elsewhere, and just one of those weeks, man.
Yeah, it was, and that is the hard thing too with the because I know what did you played Hurts with Goddard, right? What did Goddard's ownership come in at?
Yeah, he came in at 7%.
Okay, that's not bad at all. And
no,
you guys had him projected for higher than that, I think, right?
I think we've had him projected
right
right at 7. So I don't know. I thought Goddard was a better individual play than Devonta.
Yeah.
But if I would have made a second team, it would have been I thought about doubling it, and I just got a little scared off that there wasn't enough passing volume there. And I mean, Goddard went out early in this game too. It just,
Yeah, what did you guys do, or how did you think through wide receiver this week? Because it was, another week where punt plays on DraftKings were just so hard to come by. There were basically 3 names kind of on my radar: Gallup, MBS at 3,500, and then James Washington at 3,500 as well. But that was like it. Unless you were kind of doing some Galaxy Brain stack type stuff. And then you mentioned Devonta Smith and some of those guys in the mid tier who kind of got there, Jacoby Myers, some of those guys didn't even project that well. I just feel like running back, like sub 5K, even sub 5,500 was so hard this week.
Yeah, it was really hard on DraftKings. I ended up with a lot of like MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, just because, big play guy. I thought people would play. I thought Gallup would get played even more than he did. He didn't get played an insane amount, and I didn't want to do the double tight end thing because I really wanted to play 3 running backs on most of my teams, and it was tough to find the cap relief. So I played a lot of MVS, and that's basically what I did. I did one team with James Washington when everyone kind of got off him with the Ben being out.
Man,
Yeah. What about, how did you handle wide receiver, Joe?
Yeah, so like my main team was a Brady stack, so my big decision was if I wanted to play Godwin versus Diggs in that range and add to that stack. So like I said, I hedged it, but my main team did have Godwin. I'm just tilting my face off over this late swap that I made to Aaron Jones right now. He's like 1% in the 1K, and he's just dropping passes all over the place. I think he's got 10 points or something, but man, what the hell happened to Aaron Jones?
What was the swap you made?
So I went from, I believe this had like Big Mike and James Conner to Lockett and Aaron Jones. I think that was the swap. So yeah, it was more or less like I basically had to decide if I wanted to stay on Big Mike. One of the teams I did, one of the teams
and Connor was going to be mega chalk on FanDuel, right?
Yeah, Connor ended up being like 30%, so that was fine. But getting to Lockett was 9% in the 1K, but Aaron Jones was 1%, which was I thought was a pretty decent swap. But man, this Aaron Jones, this game, like every time I play Seattle guys or Green Bay guys, I get like the 3-0 at halftime, like every single time.
Yeah, and that was a tricky game because I know Thorman wrote that up as a pace down game, I believe. Was that, or was that Denver Philadelphia?
Which
Mike?
game?
Was Green Bay Seattle a pace down game for Thorman?
I'm trying to check that out.
Maybe it wasn't. Maybe that was Philly Denver actually. But it just did seem like there was a lot of there was a wide range of outcomes in that game. I didn't end up playing Aaron Jones because of just kind of the opportunity cost at running back this week. But I mean, to me, that swap makes a ton of sense, especially with
on a Brady
Devontae
team.
Adams
Yeah, you're done. Yeah,
being popular. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's fine, but I just realistically, someone needs to take Aaron Jones out of my player pool because I feel like I swap to him every single week, and it just buries me.
I feel you, man. I'm looking at this swap that I did in the Thunderdome. I had Dalvin and MVS, and I really was like, I'm kind of dead. I need to get 2 unique players. I want them in the mid-tier to get ceiling. And I was going to go to Christian Kirk, Devonta Smith, which made a bunch of sense. And then I was like, talked it over with some people. I was like, I decided not to swap. And then when I decided to swap again, I really just panicked. And I ended up going to DJ Moore and Melvin Gordon. And it is, I'd be winning the Thunderdome right now. And instead, I'm not going to cash. So it is. I don't know if there's a lot of PMR there, so I probably wouldn't have held, but definitely would have cashed. So it's, it was such a fuck up too. It was just like I was just under. I just decided too late I was gonna swap and didn't like. I was like, well, no one's gonna play DJ Moore, so I'll play him, and then Melvin Gordon just kind of fit in our ceiling projection, and he's doing fine. But DJ Moore is pretty dead now with them up 31-3 in the 4th.
Yeah.
Are you reverse engineering any ownership at all, Leone? Like if you look and like you said, like we got a couple, I mean, sometimes there's things that happen that we get completely wrong on like ownership on the 1 p.m. slate. Are you like adjusting any of your ownership stuff as you're looking through swaps, or are you kind of just trying to find leverage? I
looked, but I probably didn't look close enough. I was kind of just like with Devontae Adams. I mean, Devontae Adams is like 50% and some other stuff. I just kind of knew stuff was coming, and I was just like, I got to get on players no one's going to play. And I didn't look as close as maybe I should. I decided too late that I needed to swap is kind of where I screwed up, I think, honestly, because you're going to make mistakes when you're rushed. Like, that's just human nature.
And, we were kind of talking about this for you in the Thunderdome where, in the larger field, the swaps are more obvious in that you're like, this guy's going to be roughly in this band of ownership. In the Thunderdome, you're like making swaps. You're like, maybe do 2 people have this guy or do 1 team have this guy? Like that's legitimately the size field it is.
Yeah. Like Dalvin, I think someone said like, if Dalvin's going to be over under 15%, like dictates what you swap.
I think I said that.
and basically if I would have played him, it would have been over. I didn't play him. So he went under like, so
yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those weeks. I feel like these are the hardest weeks where it's like half it is what it is. Certain chalk hit, and we're not going to do well these weeks. But half like, but we still could have done well if a few things went differently. Like,
Yeah. This is what, like, I'm, in the big spy, I'm in 111th right now, and I have James Conner, MVS, and McCaffrey going. And I thought I was like early on, I thought I was like live to, finish top 10 in this contest. And then these are the weeks that tilt me, because it's like, yes, I'm going to cash this. It's not going to be a losing lineup, but when you get teased that you think you have a top 10 finish in you, and then everything just stalls out, that's when I tilt the hardest. The weeks where you just dust it off right away and it's all snowflakes, you just emotionally move on so quickly.
For sure.
Weird being bad. I don't feel like I have like a whole lot more to say about some of my stuff. It's like I feel like I got very specific things wrong, but also like there wasn't a path with like kind of what I was focused on anyway to like getting to all the way to the top. So I guess it's like I tilt more on like when I feel like I had a chance but like didn't really go with my convictions. I didn't really feel like that today. I think I just got a couple things wrong, and then the build that I mean is going to win everything, I just really never considered. So
yeah, that's the thing too. Like I wasn't gonna win everything, but like some of the small field stuff, you get small enough that you could still do pretty well, and it could have been a pretty salvageable week. But so this CMC run out too is just now he had 90 rush yards in the first half, and it's a blowout. He's not even gonna get the bonus, so he's gonna end up with 26 DraftKings points. He's gonna end up a bad play, pretty much with 10 catches, 95 rush yards. He's gonna end up a bad play.
Oh, I want to do some more tilting. Someone pointed this out to me, and I didn't realize that they changed a CeeDee Lamb like catch to a run, and it nuked the Dak bonus and the CD bonus, and that's in this lineup I was just telling you about.
Oh my god,
that's so rough.
I mean, it was a fucking 6-point swing.
It's double bonus.
The double bonus tilt. And then I have Christian McCaffrey on this lineup.
I was gonna say he's at 95, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean it's just, I'll talk about this lineup tomorrow on my GPP review, but it's just like excruciating. And I mean, this is the reason it's so painful with all this stuff, and the reason we're constantly trying to look for these leverage plays is because you can't have a profitable season, when you're right, just min caching, right? Like when you are right, you need to really be right in a big way. So those times where you're just short of being really right, it just stings so hard, because you say, how many weeks is it going to take me to get back up to having a chance at being really right?
What's our bankroll looking at right now? Are we like back to even?
I mean, Joe, I wouldn't worry about bankrolls and
sure. Yeah, we're just trying to win money over the entire season, right? Like there's no use in
we're
like getting involved in
like
micro type of
even.
Okay, fair enough. Oh, Aaron Jones is hurt. At least he won't be in my player pool next week.
Oh my god, guys. 60K fuck up on the swap. I mean, I would have won the dome. God,
back-to-back weeks, dude.
I know, right?
Wow.
How epic would that have been? And I just totally fucked it up. Yeah, okay. This Brandon knows what's. Let's talk about
it. Can you imagine if what were we gonna do this year? We were gonna do the DraftKings one, weren't we?
The winner take all?
Yeah. The winner take all will go down in history, accidentally entering the winner take all.
Do you know what we need to do next year? We need to do the sports betting championship that just happened. The three of us just live streaming all of our bets in that.
Yep.
That would be pretty great. Oh man, I don't know how much longer I can do this tilt space. I need to get away from my computer.
crawl into a ball until tomorrow.
I'm just gonna throw on an audiobook and go on a long walk.
You guys didn't ask about my night last night. It's fucking miserable. You ever gone to a wedding where you don't?
Last night,
Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Joe, tell us.
Since we don't have any football stuff to talk about, I might as well tell you about why I'm so miserable today, even outside of football. So, wedding 2.5 hours north of where I live. Didn't know one person. I was gonna DD the entire time because I knew that I was gonna have to drive back here and do the show and stuff this morning. We get there. It's like, yeah, there's gonna be a little bit of snow. Should be fine. And then basically when we're basically trying to leave, it's like probably like 9:30 or 10, just would get me home in time to get, I don't know, like 6 hours of sleep or so. It's a just straight up blizzard outside. And where we're at in Duluth, Minnesota, we're at the very bottom, like by the lake, and it's a giant hill. Anyone that's ever been to Duluth. So we literally couldn't get up the hill. So we had to turn around and go all the way out and basically go like probably like 10 minutes out of our way to like a hill that wasn't as crazy. Anyways, long story short, it took me like almost 5 hours to get home for a 2.5 hour drive because we were going like 30 most of the way because it was like straight ice the entire way. So I went to bed at like 3, woke up at 6, did the show, built shitty lineups, and then took a nap during the games. But dead sober, and I feel worse today than I feel after if I would have had like 15 beers last night.
Hey, we got an Eagles DTD. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
That was basically it.
God,
Nick in the chat goes to Duluth. You know all about that, man. I was there last night. Nightmare. That hill's awful. I don't know how you guys do that.
Shout out Duluth.
God,
the Bulldogs.
Leone, you are in rough shape, man.
I need to not. It's hard when you know you fucked up like right away, and then but then you're like, maybe I'll get lucky and it won't matter. And then it matters.
Look how depressed we are. Christopher said he wants to give us all a hug.
I want Joe to come over here and drink some beers with me.
Yeah, win live tilt space.
Oh my God.
Oh, that'd be sweet. Where should we do it?
How about your studio, Joe?
Well, I don't know if you know this. I do have a camera that can zoom out, so we might be able to get all of us in the frame at once.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I would love an excuse to go to Minnesota. I still need an excuse to go to Buffalo. I was going to try to make that happen.
Just don't come in the winter. Come for the beginning of the season. I
think I'm going to go to Miami now. Between like week 17 to 18.
Oh, you don't want to come to Buffalo? Week 17 to 18? I'm confused.
Miami's a little easier sell for my wife.
Why don't you go the same weekend as the final? Why don't you go like the 17th through 20th?
When's the final?
I think it's December 17th through 20th is the weekend.
So what I was looking at is week 17, the Owners Club, they're having their live final in Miami. And then week 18, the Dolphins host the Patriots. And I've been talking to Laird about going to that game. Oh. So I was like, I could just go out for a week, do the Owners Club final, go to the Dolphins Patriots game, and then just chill in Miami when it's the worst time of year to be in New England. So I was like, that seems like a win-win. So I might try to pull that off.
Yeah, that's week 15 for the Miami final.
Week 15, so okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys watch the Osimo whistles go woo and Big T chasing the goat?
I didn't see it.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to watch it.
Didn't you guys have him on with Brick?
We've had all three of those guys on Lulz, yeah.
No, I mean the whistles guy. That guy's an absolute maniac.
Yeah, he's a adjunct professor at University of Connecticut and then just plays every single DFS slate somehow.
Wow. What's he professor of?
I think statistics, something that would translate very well to fantasy.
Well, what are the Vikings going to do to mess this up for us here at the 5-yard line?
Probably
what do we need?
Throw to Conklin for a third touchdown.
Conklin.
My late swaps would appreciate Thielen. Don't we have a Thielen team? Team's really dead anyway.
No, we have a lot. That team's dead. We need the Lockett team.
Okay,
yeah, FanDuel's our only sweat, right?
That's tough.
Yeah, basically. FanDuel is our only sweat, and I think we're pretty capped in where we can go there. No, actually, no, I shouldn't say that. We get a big Lockett play on FanDuel. We could get up to like top 5 or even second place. Doesn't look that high up there.
So you're saying
it can't be that bad. I threw our tilt space lineup in the $200 quintuple up. I'm in first.
You know what it is, Joe? The team in first is so far ahead that I just assumed we were dead. Like
we're live, baby. We would be winning this if Christian McCaffrey didn't step out on
This team,
four touchdowns.
this team is salvaging my week. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Christian McCaffrey. We could have used some of those touchdowns. 8% Christian McCaffrey.
This stream needs to go like our stream from a few weeks ago, where it starts out as a funeral, and then by 7 p.m. we're smashing beer cans on our head.
Should we stand up, Pete? Should we get the energy
I'm
up here?
not quite to standing up yet. No, I can't stand up and then have it fail. That's
Dalvin Cook
demoralizing.
touchdown. I hate everything. I don't even know what I'm cheering for anymore. But yeah, I guess I have a quintuple team that's in first.
James Conner scored. I wonder how my. Okay, I'm up to 42nd in the big spy.
Let's go.
Heyo. That's good, dude. Is that the team where you lost the bonuses?
Yeah. Up
That's
to
so
42nd, and only one team in front of me has more PMR.
Nice.
What's the field size of that, Pete?
Can you send that?
Yeah,
in
although
the
I see,
private chat?
I'm hunting down Pat. Pat's in 7th, but he's out of PMR. I can send it. It's the one that has MBS, Connor, and CMC.
We need a Lockett TD and a Kirk
Lockett
TD.
TD would be dope. What's his percentage in this, Mike?
Lockett's 7.4%.
7.4.
Kirk is 1.2%.
7 catches for Kirk, huh? Take that.
Yeah, he was part of my debacle swap on the Thunderdome.
I was told that this was the Aaron Rodgers return / revenge spot, and it's 3-0.
Yeah, I definitely know better this game, and I made with the Seattle receivers where like they didn't even really pop a ton of my stuff, but I was like, nah, Russ is back.
I just know better to like avoid Seattle. Like I don't know. Every time I play anything from a Seattle game or a Green Bay game, and now they're both together, and I guess jam them in for no reason, it makes no sense. I never hit the DK Lockett game. The only time it's ever happened is when we did it together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was sweet.
I think that's the only time I've won money with those guys ever.
Well, the other time it hit was what? Was it 2 weeks ago with the Geno, where both Lockett and Metcalf hit?
Geno was in this game, it wouldn't be 3-0. I'll tell you that.
Something would have happened one way or the other.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right,
the fingers might be kind of important for a quarterback, it seems.
MVS came out with a long catch early. I really thought we were going to get the MVS game, and then
I was real stoked about this lineup early. I mean that Lamb 6 points stings so much.
That's a big 6 points.
I say this, and I'm going to have to play AJ Dillon next week against the Vikings, so this is a nightmare.
Joe, we got to get you off the Green Bay running backs.
I'm gonna be at that game. I need one piece of that game to watch.
How many games do you just get to go to every game?
Literally, I walk across the street, man. It's like I have to go.
All right, what? So can we go to a Minnesota?
Why don't you guys
1 p.m. game, and then we go back to your place for a live tilt
I do that every
space.
week. You guys are welcome to join.
I will seriously do that.
You guys should come for the 26th against the Rams.
What 26th?
December 26th, day after Christmas. So it's a little tough. But
that's
probably not going to work. But I mean, can we find a random?
See what else we got for the schedule.
Nick saying you don't want to go to a Minnesota game. That's literally what I'm saying I want to do.
You're not understanding the concept.
I legitimately enjoy going to new stadiums, and I also love going to places where I have friends who live there that can show you around and know all of the places to be. We would have a lovely time in Minnesota, which these are very fed.
You go, oh man, like I feel like a lot of the good games have already happened. We could go Steelers December 9th. That's very soon. We could do
I'm ready to. Are there any non-island game? Are there any island games?
Yes, Steelers Vikings is a night game. I don't know if that is a Thursday. What's December 9th? Day of the week. December 9th is a Thursday night football game, yeah.
That sounds incredible.
I got to shout out A Raven, who is winning the Thunderdome after he was very.
Tell him to suck it, Mike.
No, I refuse.
Tell him if you did the right swap, you would be winning, and that he should still suck.
Actually, I think I'd be behind him now. I think I'd be in second, so it's fine. Second's not a big deal as long as I win.
What's pull up a Ravens lineup?
He got the counter TD. Man, that Lamb play, dude.
There it is.
Joe, Joe.
There it
There
is.
it is, Joe.
There's Joe's play.
What?
Zeke and Lamb on a DAC team.
Yeah, there it is, man. It's annoying.
He went no bring back, which, you know, in a 43-3 game turns out to definitely be the correct move. Man, that I can't believe Lamb.
How did Judy end up 17% in the dome?
I kind of thought he was going to get steamed, to be honest. Like
Really?
I kind of saw that one. Yeah.
What? He didn't project super well.
No, but anytime Wiggins is really on a guy, I feel like it's an indicator that guy's
Wiggins moves dome ownership.
Wiggins is like the test point, I feel like, for like, because he doesn't like to play anything too far off the board.
Yeah.
So I feel like if he's really on a guy, some other people are too. No, AJ Dillon touchdown. Oh, that's bad. Never mind. I think
Leone just wants to feel something.
I got Wiggins to go contrarian here though. He ran the Rodgers double with
this
MVS.
Is super contrarian for Wiggins, I would say.
That's actually I thought the Rodgers double, like I thought that was a pretty good line. Lockett, honestly, I thought in the dome would have been like a 3% or a 3 to 6%. But yeah, Judy got pumped up there. I wasn't totally shocked by Judy getting up there.
Although I got to give a shout out to Cooter Doodle. She, in that sleeper league that you guys did the draft on ETR's channel, she is playing AJ Dillon this week, and she has AJ Dillon. And so she recorded a really funny video saying, you know, AJ, every time the hole opens up and you hit it, I want you to make sure you're thinking of me. So AJ Dillon right there with the 3-yard touchdown run against himself.
That's awesome. Man, this Lamb play is not making this Lamb play too. Is like this is where, you know, the Mike Williams play. What happened to Mike Williams, I thought might happen to CeeDee Lamb, which is why I didn't play CeeDee Lamb this week. Yeah. And I was completely wrong. I mean, 11% on CeeDee Lamb in this spot is phenomenal.
Well, we say, you know, you have this stuff every week, but it's like you see the ownership percentage and you see Mike Evans and Mike Williams, you cross them off, you would touch them with a 10-foot pole. You see CeeDee Lamb and Stephon Diggs, and you would rush to the podium to put both of them in your lineup.
Yeah.
Do we have any
and
regrets
of course,
with Kyle Pitts
other people would do that too,
awful.
though. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
What did Devontae Adams end up in most stuff? Like, I don't know if I've seen his ownership percentage.
Let's see what he was in the game changer. I think he was really high. 36%.
Okay.
Which isn't, I guess, insane, but he went with the cheap running backs pretty obviously.
It's like 33% in the 1K on FanDuel also. So like honestly, the ownership was like pretty similar on both sites this week with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I had kind of said that on our show, Established Humility. Like, this is the first week all year where I feel like the DK FanDuel strategies are pretty close, like as close as they are going to get.
That was reflected, Joe, when I ran the because I had Reeves on my Friday show, and we were looking at more FanDuel stuff, and we ran the FanDuel sims on Run the Sims, and the sims were really similar to the DraftKings ones too. Like the players showing up, and normally they're pretty different. So it was weird how that worked out this week.
Reeves is all time, eh? I love that guy.
Reeves is actually probably partly responsible for the Mike Williams team because he was pumping Mike Williams pretty hard on Friday.
Yeah, he was saying the same thing on my show. He was, I guess he's had like a really nice run with Mike Williams this year. I'm like trying to call his games where he's basically underperformed and done well. And I don't know. I guess he's got the answers to the test with Mike Williams until today. So tough scene.
How the hell are the Panthers boat racing the Cardinals on the road with PJ Walker at
You ever heard of Kyler Murray, man?
We had
DeAndre Hopkins. Is he good? We don't have either of those guys right now.
Tampa Bay lost to Washington. Baltimore lost to Miami. And now this one. Like, it's been a kind of a crazy week for upsets.
This is not an upset. If you're down your quarterback and your number one wide receiver.
It was like a 9-point spread.
And the Panthers are down their quarterback too.
Yeah,
That's
they're on to
true.
PJ Walker.
Well, if you're moving from Sam Darnold to PJ Walker, a little different from moving from Kyler Murray to Colt McCoy, correct?
Why are we on 3rd and goal and Chuba is in right now? We're running the read option with Chuba? I mean, what the fuck?
Wasn't meant to be this week. We're on to next week.
Are we? All right.
All right. Okay, Mike, it closed closer to 6.5 point spread. All right.
You got well, actually.
Okay.
On 2.5 point line difference.
Okay. It closed.
Oh.
Renee, we are angry. Okay.
You remember that quintuple up that was going to save my day? No longer cashing, so my day's over.
Oh my god! I thought you said you were winning the quintuple.
I was.
You went from winning it to not even cashing it.
Yes, Christian McCaffrey is on this team. Do I need to say any more?
We're all a little sensitive. I said on my GPP show, I said I was touting AJ Brown, and then I said people were asking me if I was worried about Marshawn Lattimore. I said I wasn't worried. The numbers look good. And then I said he's going to go 3 catches for 35 yards, and people are going to troll me on Twitter, and I'm going to mute you. That's exactly what happened. So the two of you that trolled me, you are now off into the oblivion.
I hope you're happy. So a couple things. One, when the ownership does become a little bit more volatile like this, like how do you guys decide to play? Like, should we just be like firing at ceiling and maybe not like overthinking it? That's one. And then the second thing, I just totally forgot what I was going to say. I don't really know what the second thing was. So let's just,
you were going to say just don't play Seahawks or Packers ever and print money.
So, no, I mean, the way like I was thinking about, so in that lineup that you were showing in my spy lineup, you know, I thought the Dak double was honestly going to be more popular. And so I thought, okay, I'm not going to eat D'Ernest or Mark Ingram on this lineup because I knew I was going to be chalkier with the stack. That didn't actually end up happening, but that's the thesis I was working on. And then I also knew McCaffrey was going to be really unique. And I knew I could pivot off of Connor if I wanted. I could do some rearranging there. And I knew paying up for Colts D was going to be unique. So I did feel like this slate was one where, like, even if you wanted to eat what we thought was going to be chalky, there were basically all kinds of different combos you could make to not be chalky throughout.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like, if you're not playing two running backs that are both over 50% owned, like, you can kind of do whatever you want, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, and man, yeah, the Ramondre ended up being such a smash. Like, he could have scored even more in this game too.
And maybe the takeaway is too, when like there is uncertainty about how popular, you know, some of the best stacks are going to be, of just being like, yeah, we're going to play it and we're going to get unique elsewhere. And then you might run really hot like I did with the percentages in this lineup, or worst comes to worst, you still have some good leverage spots elsewhere.
I feel like I might need to bucket guys more of like, okay, he's for sure going to be low. He's maybe going to be low, but there's some volatility. You know what I mean? Like, you could kind of have 4 buckets. It's like clearly chalk. I think they're chalk, but I'm not 100% sure. I think they're not chalk, but I'm not 100% sure. I know they're not chalk, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like I know their chalk would have been the cheap running backs. Devontae Adams would have been there. I know they're not chalk would have been like kind of the Philly stuff for me. But then like the Chargers, Dallas stuff would have been like in those middle two tiers. Big Mike dropped a TD apparently.
I have a better idea, Mike. What if we did this? What if we created this decentralized autonomous organization of GPP players and everyone agreed to share who they were playing almost anonymously? It's a blind survey heading into the slate where we all agreed to tell our exposures. It's so that we can actually fine tune our ownership. I mean, tell me this isn't a brilliant idea, Mike.
You've done it.
I'm starting a GPP
genius.
down, is what I'm saying.
This is where we're at, guys.
Yeah.
We made it. We made it.
Oh,
We're a
man.
Tyler Lockett touchdown away from saving this day, but if that never comes, like that might be the peak of the show.
We really are like all things considered. We need a Tyler Lockett bomb.
The chat is saying, what if people lie? No, I mean, the trust that will be built within this DAO, it'll be community focused, and we will all be able to trust each other. No one The issue isn't people lying about what they do. The issue is people honestly saying what they would do, then seeing the results and changing what they do based off of the results. But don't worry.
That's where we need a second.
Don't worry. Smart contracts are going to be involved. And it will be binding. What you say you're going to play, you do have to play.
Just one of those weeks. All right.
What are you rooting for, Leone?
I'm rooting for Tyler Lockett touchdown or for can MVS get there still? We need the Lockett touchdown to boost some MVS urgency, right?
There you go. Lockett TD is the nuts here. Look at Ryan. Ryan being so nice to us. You guys kick ass. Don't be so hard on yourself. The people actually, it's so hard to tell. Sometimes when we're doing well, people seem excited for us. And sometimes they're like, shut the hell up. We'd rather you guys be miserable because that's how we feel. When we're happy, we're too happy. When we're miserable, we're too miserable. When we're right in the middle, it's a boring show. What the fuck do you people want from
When we're
us?
drunk, we're too drunk. Like, what do you guys want? The anonymous text message I get the next day, like, hey, like I really care about you, so maybe just don't drink so much on Sundays, which I appreciate. I appreciate that. That actually hit me really hard. I can't say who that was, but man, that was that really put my life into perspective.
Russ Wilson, INT. Hey, Eric's back. Eric, want to give us some more false information so you can get banhammered again? Sorry, I don't know why I did that. Yeah, Frost gets it.
We had a Sleepy Joe reference earlier today, Pete. You would have been impressed.
Oh, wow. I forgot that.
I was confirmed Sleepy Joe this morning.
When did that bit start? That started on the Line Movement show, right?
Yeah, when I was doing 19 shows a week. And for some reason, I would always forget about our Bets Against the Spread show on Tuesdays because for some reason it didn't register that was a day that I did content.
A lot changes in a year.
Oh, man. I wish we could
now.
just like pick all the players that score the most points each week.
That's actually one of the marquee features of the new DAO I'm starting, Mike.
Because last week we could have not played the chalk that was really bad, but then this week we could have played the chalk that was really good.
Yeah, I mean, if I would have just known that we could have played Cooper Kupp instead of Stephon Diggs that one week, we could have just taken the rest of the season off after winning the Millie, right? That would have been the best.
God, Joe.
That still bothers me, even though like there's no chance we were doing that. But.
I was surprised at Peter's reaction to that because there was no
to what
our Josh Allen stack that
the week that we would have won the Millie if we would have played Cooper Kupp instead of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I didn't even tilt that because that was never even I would tilt it if we were like debating between it. Like if
but you gave a face though that was a little bit more like oh my god-ish than I expected.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun little anecdote, you know. Yeah. If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle, kind of thing, right? Like I mean.
If my grandma had wheels, she'd be a bike.
Exactly.
This AJ Dillon stuff, man. Wow.
AJ Dillon's going nuts. Cooter Doodle's going to get victory. Oh, man. How many rush yards? Jordan Howard looks like he's got a lot of rush yards, too.
You know what kind of tilt space it is when we're sweating Cooter Doodle's season-long matchup versus AJ Dillon?
How many? Jordan Howard, 83 rush yards. We definitely lost that prop bet.
What I mean, what's your record on props this week?
Oh my God, AJ Dillon.
Oh man, dude, we lost the Deontay Johnson under with 20 seconds left in overtime. That was like an issue. But I think we were 3-1 Thursday night. I think we were 6-2 early. So that was 9-3 heading into the evening slate. We had Allen Lazard under 3.5 catches, which just seemed like a no-brainer. That one we laid some juice on. We don't usually do that, but we pulled out the juice for Lazard. Let's hope. Hopefully, I don't. What does he have? Lazard has. Ooh, he's got 4 targets, but thankfully 1 catch for 6 yards. So that would be 10-3. We lost Jordan Howard under on rush yards. So
Is
that's
Devonta
10-4.
still under 4.5 catches?
Devonta Smith under 4.5 catches is the last one. He's at 4 exactly. We've got the
Two
right game
TDs.
script for it.
Yeah.
So that would
I
be
saw
11
that
and
one
4.
because I was looking at the yards and the catches, and I smartly just tailed you guys on the catches.
Yeah, even money on that one. So I have no idea how that one's still alive with Goddard out and what they've done. But it's 30-13. That might actually hold.
Go full screen to Holka's dog. I'm gonna get a beer.
Okay. Always go full screen to Madden. Let's go, Madden. I love her, man. She's awesome. How old is she?
She is. She's 9 months, man. She's like kind of.
She's only 9 months, man. She's big.
Dude. She's almost 70 pounds. She's a good girl.
What kind of?
She's a Great Dane. Hey, come here. Good to be.
She's a Great Dane. God, I'm bad with dogs. Why do I think Great Danes look different than that?
Oh, she's basically just like a big skinny lab.
That's what I thought. Yeah, she looks like a lab.
Yeah.
She's 100% Great Dane.
Yep. Yeah, she'll probably be like 120 or so when she's fully grown.
Wow.
Be a lot easier to carry.
I'm looking at Great Danes, dude. Okay.
Hit me up, dude. This is my second one.
You're gonna get a dog, Leone?
No. I meant I'm looking up.
Do I have to be
pictures of
full
them
screen the rest of
online.
the show? I'm way too tired
Yeah.
for this.
Sleepy Joe.
Sleepy Joe. Yeah, Nick, I agree. Face really looks like a lab. It's funny. I'm looking at Great Danes though, and there are some that look just like Madden.
Oh, there's European
like a
ones
lab?
and American ones. That's the difference.
That must be the difference. Which are the?
She's 100% American Great Dane, so she's
Okay.
smaller. The European ones slobber more and they get a lot bigger.
I mean,
So
that's
she's only gonna be like
true
120.
across all species, Joe.
That's true.
Yeah, because the European ones is what I think I was thinking of.
Yeah, those are huge. I've only had American ones, and man, they're great. So obviously, I live in an apartment, but all she does is sleep. She gets her long walk every day, and then she pretty much just sleeps the rest of the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
My parents have a yellow lab who's about a year. She does not sleep all day.
Oh, labs have a ton of energy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious.
Did TJ Hawkinson really have 0 points today?
Was popping in the Z scores for 0 points.
Don't talk about Z scores.
There's a 0% chance that AJ Dill doesn't score here. These could have been 2 Aaron Jones touchdowns at 1%.
Could have been.
This
Could
is
have
the
been.
worst.
I feel you, Joe.
Who is it? Who's the other running back that the Packers are using right now?
P. Taylor.
Is that a nickname you gave him?
Yep. P. Decimal space Taylor.
P Slice in relief of AJ Dillon right now.
Dexter Williams
Patrick,
got
some
signed
may
with
call him.
someone else. Is it Patrick Taylor? I wanted to say Patrick, but it is
Patrick
honestly
Taylor.
just made up.
Yep.
And it is Patrick Taylor. Okay. Patrick Taylor it is. Who is Patrick Taylor?
Sounds like the opening to a podcast. Who is Patrick Taylor? We'll tell you after the jump.
Is Tyler Lockett playing?
Who?
No, actually, I don't think
T.
anyone in
Lockett?
Seattle is playing. I think Seattle just kind of forfeited.
Sure. I mean, when you don't have your leader, Geno Smith, like, what do you do?
Is Russell Wilson playing? I just realized I haven't even seen his face on the screen.
I care more about his finger, personally.
Maybe
We all
his
ignored
finger is
that.
still an issue. That would
Yeah.
maybe just a theory.
Maybe that's why Lockett is 3%. We're the only ones that didn't consider this.
I don't know. Guys, we're winning next week. Let me see what our bankroll
Leone,
really is
I
at.
think I've meant to ask you this a couple shows. Are the snowflakes, is it supposed to be seasonal with your background, or is it supposed to be like a nod to our lineups on
Oh, I thought that
DraftKings?
was you were tilting, so there's snowflakes in the background.
It was supposed to be seasonal, but it kind of, multi-purpose, multi-use.
Can we get one with flames? That way,
Yeah.
when our lineups are doing good, you can at least toggle it to the flames.
I put that up. I've decided when I feel cold in my office, I go with this background. When I don't feel cold, I'll go with something else. All right, I'm gonna do a little bankroll update.
Oh God, we're really gonna do this right now? Fuck me.
Okay, game changer, 1500. Oh, it's week 10.
Really airing out our dirty laundry here.
0.
I always have to ask Leone to do this later in the week, so he's just trying to kill two birds with one stone.
Touch pass.
He's like, I can just
0.
do this on there.
I don't think I've ever asked him to do this. I think ignorance is bliss in some ways.
40.
Some of us like to keep track of our own bankroll records.
FanDuel.
Good for you, man. Not trying to live that life.
Good for you. Not all of us are just so rich we can just blast off into whatever.
Little 460 or on FanDuel. Okay, we're still up 10K on the year if we min cash this FanDuel team.
Oh my God, Justin Jefferson is a fucking grown ass man.
So let's talk about. So we've been playing pretty similar. We had the 1 week where we scaled up a little bit after our win, but we've been playing the 777, the 1500, and single entry on FanDuel. Do we just keep firing? Do we want to mix it up? How are we feeling about, building 2 lineups on DraftKings, 1 on FanDuel? Are we feeling good about where we're at in that regard?
I said we didn't have to force the FanDuel team if you guys didn't want to. I like having both dynamics of it because it's every single week I feel like I'm a little bit behind on some of the DraftKings stuff. And I don't know. It's one of our smaller contests too. So, but we also haven't cashed it yet, have we?
Today.
Today's the day,
dude.
Yeah, it's true.
I kind of like how we've got it going. I think we've got a little bit just a touch higher stakes than we were to start the year. Actually, I think we're lower stakes because we're playing less, aren't we? Because we were doing.
I wouldn't mind having 1 more on DK, even if we toss it into like the power sweep or something like that, a 150, something in that range.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard for me because it's like I wish I knew Sunday morning, like what my schedule's like, how good I feel about the slate, what I want to get in. Because there are some weeks where I'm like, yep, 2 teams is perfect. Let's roll. And then there are other weeks where it's like, oh, man.
AJ Dillon,
we've
weird.
got time. Dillon again.
AJ Dillon.
Got to be good for the...
Cooter Doodle just rolling.
Can we talk about best ball yet or no?
No. Someone said it in the chat earlier. They said you can talk about Cooter Doodle season-long matchup all you want, but you cannot talk about best ball.
Okay, because if you could talk about best ball.
You can't, though, so it's...
But if you could...
If you could, but you can't.
But if you could...
If you could, you could say things like, if you could, and then whatever you're about to say, but you can't.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm trying to say.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm just trying to say. It's a non-starter.
AJ Dillon, never in doubt. Oh, I've got him on a big dog team. Woo,
Oh, Leone! Kick yourself off the show. You actually don't. You're too excited. I knew you would be like, thank you. I'm going to go eat Cooter Doodle and Snickerdoodle. Leone's going to eat Snickerdoodle cookies.
Oh, Adam Thielen's alive. That's good.
What did he do?
Lie.
He's in Oh, no, he dropped it. Of course. Never mind.
Stole these from Micah's candy jar.
You said he came out with a haul, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did I miss the photos of Halloween in your house?
Yeah,
Leone?
last year, weren't you a pirate or something last year, Leone?
Yeah, I was a werewolf this year.
Hang on, real quick. Were you a pirate last year?
Yes.
I love how I have that image just burned into my mind from your photo last year.
I think I was it on the show. I think that's probably
okay.
why
That's why I remember.
That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was on a thumbnail. You guys like my new
thumbnail?
thumbnails? No one responded to that in our chat. I felt very...
Joe, I replied to it in the other chat. You showed me the thumbnails. There's only so many different threads about your thumbnails that I can reply
I was excited, man. I'm so much more YouTube meta now. It's the best.
I don't know what that means.
You'll learn.
Okay, let's...
That's what. So we're gonna rename this video when it finishes. We're gonna, instead of like tilt space week 10, it's gonna say, "I fucked up. Here's why." Joe, that would do bad numbers.
I've got like a handful of YouTubes that I go to, and I just steal their titles because they're so good. There's this guy. It's called How to Beast, is the best titles ever.
Hey, wait, the name of his channel is How to Beast.
How to Beast. He's got 1 million subscribers, but his titles are the best. It's like time to show you ...
I'm gonna change my How to Beast DFS, dude.
We waited 2 years for this. It's time to step away.
Okay, I'm gonna show you. Here's Micah's Halloween.
This is the end. It's just the best titles.
Oh, Micah.
Look at this dude.
Dude,
Look
that
at this
is
vampire.
The face makeup is spot on.
Oh yeah, Grandma doesn't mess around. She does the face makeup.
That's awesome. Is that chilling with a Wonder Woman?
Yes.
Love it.
Okay, I'll be honest, guys. I don't think we have to take this all the way to the wire.
Really? I was thinking we kind of just keep going right through Sunday Night Football.
We got 1 minute left. So we got a Tyler Lockett drive here.
If we turn this off, how about this? I'll let us in.
But we need, at this point, we need 2 Tyler Lockett touchdowns. Like, things have deteriorated.
No, I want to make a deal with Leone. We shut this down. But if Tyler Lockett scores, then Leone has to create a new event on YouTube. Resend us the invite, and we re-go live on a separate YouTube event with the title I Beast Everything.
Deal.
I'll give you guys some title ideas, man. It's the best. It's the time of the year where you have to mix it up and have fun, man. There's only so many week 10 stacks, best pick. I guess I can't. I got to do something fun for a few weeks.
Nick is touting a stout. P.S. A Untitled Art S'more Stout. That sounds like a meal.
I don't like stouts. I can't do them. They're not for me.
They're not for me either, but they seem like a great company. All their ingredients locally sourced. They donate 75% of their profits to charity.
75?
I literally just made up all that.
Wow.
Idea.
You could have. I mean, that was not a believable number.
What's our Thanksgiving plan, guys?
Oh,
I think I'm going to be in Arizona.
Last year we made it. I think we should just skip Thanksgiving. I don't think we should.
What did we do last year?
We made a team and it stunk. And
did we just not even end up talking about it? We just pretended it never happened.
No, we talked about it, but we didn't. We weren't doing a show or anything for Thanksgiving, so it was kind of like.
This is true.
I don't know. I'm sure I'll change my mind come actual Thanksgiving, but.
Seattle's actually
I'm
bad.
going to Las Vegas next week.
You are?
I am a little weary about it, but I'm going.
What is it?
My sister's 10th anniversary.
You told me about that.
I will be back. I'm flying back late Saturday night, so I will be on Tilt Space, and but you guys might have to drive the ship with our lineup making a little bit.
What? How many days are you going to be in Vegas?
It's quick. It's 2 days basically. I get there Thursday early-ish.
Where are you staying?
Back. The Venetian.
Nice. All right. Do you are you taking that off? Are you having someone sub in for you or with some of your stuff? Or are you just going to be working?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to do wake and rake Sunday morning. I'm going to just monitor the projections then and get caught up. And I'm not doing established a million. I think Gary or somebody will sub in.
Shout out to Gary. He did a good job on this week's Establish the Million as a featured guest.
Yeah, Gary crushed it. Very, very honored guest.
All right, so we're gonna power this down. And you said you're going to Vegas next week, Leone?
Yep, Thursday.
Okay. All right. Leone will he'll be sleepy Leone next Sunday on Tilt Space. Holka, anything else you'd like to plug here?
No, but check out my new thumbnails. They're great.
Seriously, reply in the comments to Joe's videos or on Twitter how much you love his thumbnails. You'll make him a very happy man.
That's what it's all about, man. Week 10, no one cares about football right now.
Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. I believe Leone, will you and Levitan be back tomorrow with a tournament review?
Yeah.
You're so excited. I'll be on my channel tomorrow. at today of reviewing my GPP teams as well. We appreciate you guys through the ugly, through the highs, through the lows. We will summit the mountain yet again, but it's the lows that make the payoff so special. So we have to eat shit a few weeks in a row to really rise from the ashes like a phoenix. I'm Pete Overzet, Mike Leone, Joe Holka. This is Tilt Space. We'll see you guys next week.
End the show, Leone.
I don't know what